In the last video, we've learned all about the OSGiBroker basics. Now let's see more of the advanced features. Now that you know all about the OSGiBroker communication basics, let's talk about more advanced features. This one is called event polling. You can think of it as if the client has a mailbox. Whenever the subscriber delivers a message, it doesn't directly go to the client. Instead, it goes to the client's mailbox. No matter how many messages are being sent, as long as the client doesn't go to get these messages, they will stay in the mailbox. When the client gets the messages, he can then decide what to do with the messages. There are several ways that we're using event polling in our own applications, one of which is through polling cycles. For example, one of our large screen clients is polling in 30 millisecond intervals to see if there are any updates. This is like the client is going to the mailbox every 30 milliseconds. Whenever the client gets the messages, it updates its screen accordingly. As opposed to constantly polling, another use case would be to poll only if you're asked to. For example, one of our large screen clients is polling for events only when the refresh button is being clicked. The button will be an event trigger for the polling here. There is also another use pattern for event polling, which is using the timeout parameter. You can think of it as if having the client waiting at the mailbox for the amount of time that the timeout parameter specifies. If a new message comes through during that period of time, the client will get the message instantly, as opposed to only getting it at the end of polling cycles or at event triggers. This polling pattern is called a hang and get or a long poll. This is the most used polling pattern in our applications. It is also recommended to use only the long poll pattern to keep your clients updated in real time, as opposed to use short polling cycles constantly like 30 milliseconds. Because using such short polling cycles can consume a lot of resources both on the client and the server side. Now you're almost an expert at OSGiBroker. Let's see what else can the broker do. Other than sending and receiving messages to these bulletin boards, clients can also modify bulletin board properties. These are what we call state and contents. Each topic may have a set of properties called states. These are named value pairs that are persisted and associated with a certain topic. It is quite handy sometimes because most of the event-based systems are stateless. For example, an application that we've developed at Magic Lab is called a voting application. It uses the states to store the voting stats, such as what is the voting count on each of the options. When there's a new vote, the system will notify the application through an event. The application will take the event and figure out which option is this vote for. A new vote count is calculated based on this new vote. Contents work very much the same way as states, except for that they store files instead of properties. Clients can query file contents that are associated with topics. They can also post files onto topics. State and contents are very useful because it provides the persistent layer that most event-based systems don't have. Here we are at the end of the video. Hopefully you've learned a lot about the OSGiBroker and know how it works now. Please refer to our online documentation for the technical details about how to use the broker. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask us. Thanks for watching and have fun with the OSGiBroker.